and welcome to another episode of the Roll-Wise Show, the place where we play games and talk about them later. Today, we are going to be continuing our foray into Ironsworn. As, what? What? It's true.
I don't know why it was so funny.
Okay,
Where
whatever.
we play games and talk about them later. And it's true. No, I don't know why.
Just
I'm
stating the
sorry.
truth. Maybe we're in a loopy mood, so this is going to be a very loopy episode. But regardless, right. So we're continuing our foray into Ironsworn, the game that is kind of a low fantasy, gritty survival Viking era inspired RPG that it's been a lot of fun. It's got a lot of influences from things like Powered by the Apocalypse, Blades in the Dark, whatever, that kind of stuff. So you can. If you like the heavily narrated games, if you like to play solo, get some solo games in, or if you like to play co-op and see this and you're like, oh, maybe nobody has to choose to be a DM. Yeah, you're welcome or something.
Sometimes the answer is no.
Because that's what we're doing. We're doing co-op. Neither one of us is the GM. So we're going to let the story shape up as it goes. So
exactly.
Yeah, so welcome to the show. We hope you have enjoyed the episode so far, and of course, if you want to catch them because this is the first time you're seeing this, we have them in a playlist, so you can kind of start from the beginning. The shows themselves, because it is a co-op game and we're just kind of playing through. It is not just like it's not us telling a story; it's us playing the game together. So, just a heads up. And so, for a little bit of background. Where were we? We had just gotten our asses handed to us by bone walkers, and one of the most unlucky change of fortunes that we'd had in a minute, which kind of got us off track. Our original stated goal, which our vow was sworn against in our one shot. He says jokingly, as we're 5 fucking episodes in. Well, they're only 1 hour, so we could still call it a one shot.
No, I get that, but still, it's a while.
Yeah, it is, but it's been fun, so I don't mind. Our original goal was to basically drive off a leviathan, a huge monster that is plaguing our village, making our waters unfishable, and pretty much it is the doom of our village. An epic vow that we vowed to, for, like idiots, like an epic vow. We decided to undertake. We're heading off into the Varou lands because we're seeking this thing called the Abyssal Harpoon, which is kind of the key to our salvation. We've been sidetracked because we lost a fight to some bone walkers. But in getting sidetracked, we actually followed the bone walkers. I don't know where that came from. Back to a village, an old village of that seems to be comprised of Knut's relatives, former pioneers that had gone into the Ironlands seeking fertile lands and had been killed by the Varou for their trespass. So we're kind of seeing this kind of macabre pantomime of them living life that's a little unusual. And we've also seen one of those iron pillars that we talked about in the beginning doing some strange things. Who knows? Jeff touched it. And it did something else strange. So that's always a nice Chekhov's gun. Well, if the pillar's there, you got to use it. So we'll see how that all plays into the story that we're doing. Obviously, because we can't beat 3 bone walkers, a village of 17 seems like hard for us just to go on hacking and slashing. So this will not be your typical murder hobo story. All right, that's enough talking for me for a moment. Jeff, anything else that you wanted to add? You have your hawk you wanted to bring into the story, or?
Yeah, no, I have my hawk. I just don't know how he helps with bone walkers. If my goals as Knut are to try to recover the sword that my dead master gave me, sword master of the village, who died fighting the Leviathan. Trying to get that back if it's possible. But if it's not possible and the skeleton with the sword stays, in the village, or we can't separate them, or we can't swipe it, we'll have to go and look for the Varou, and then at that point I may have to use the hawk to try to try to find
Uh-huh.
Varou tracks.
Varou tracks.
So
Them just standing in the hinterlands, just giving the bird. Like, what's
yeah,
that thing doing up there?
exactly.
Okay. So I think probably a good idea to start with is just to kind of get a little bit more sense of your sword. How important was this sword to you, to kind of get an idea as to your stakes? Because I think that there's two threads I want to pull on here just a little bit. The first thread
Sure.
is like the sword itself. Like, it was a gift from your sword master, so it's got some connection to, it's got a heritage to it. How far does that heritage go? Does it go back to the old world? Is it important familial item? Like, is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is its lineage? What is its pedigree? And then, of course, we have, I think, Aelfred's perspective on this is probably similar to what you're thinking. This, that, like, we need to get to this Abyssal Harpoon. This is a nice
It,
detour and all, but a sword is a piece
yeah.
of metal.
No, it's a piece of metal, and honestly, if you saw the sword, like if you just
Mhm.
like saw it, you'd be like, okay, it looks like a good sturdy sword, but it doesn't look like it's worth dying for. My guess is that it's a good basic sword. I don't think our village has so much stuff that we can afford to keep good, sharp, you know, weapons just wrapped in a cloth, waiting for somebody to complete training. So it doesn't
Mhm.
have any provenance. It's more the emotional, psychological connection because it represents that I did, complete the the training or the first phase of the training, where I
Sure.
was allowed to have a sword of my own and
Mhm.
not just use.
Was it the master's sword, like, that he's passed down to you, or is it like?
No, I'm thinking that the master had it commissioned, like
Mm,
from the town blacksmith, and
okay, so.
it's very sharp, but it's very
Mhm.
basic. It's not ornate in any way. It's not magical. It's not got any sort of provenance.
the
It's
the only thing that really right now that hurts is it's kind of a symbolic thing, right?
it is,
Because
yeah,
the symbolism here is there's two symbols. It's basically it's how it's your achievement, your drive into capability, warriorhood, bannerman, whatever you want to call it. But it's also a sign of your struggle to keep your vow because you used it to
right.
to,
No,
to swear your
yeah,
vows.
no,
So there's a spiritual connection to it at this
most
point that I think drives you probably a little harder than me to recover
no,
it.
it definitely drives Canute further. That's for sure. But I mean, I think I envisioned once I got it that it would only be parted from me in two ways: my death or the sword itself breaking. And the sword didn't fail; I failed. So not
Mhm.
having it is a reminder that I
Okay.
failed, essentially, like the first time I got to use it. If we're being honest, that is probably the thing that is motivating Canute the most.
Uh,
I've got to get that goddamn sword. I can't go back to the village.
that's funny. Well, but I think it's an interesting aspect to consider, from a sword perspective. So it's just, even the sword, even though it's not tremendously maybe, you know, valuable
It's
in terms of
valuable to
barter.
me. It's not,
Hmm.
and it's like I said, it's not a bad sword, but it's a functional sword,
Hmm.
not a valuable sword.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's I think the thing we look at there, because like I said, there's a part of me, and I think that, when we were talking about like sniping at each other, kind of a little bit with our kind of compounding failures a little,
Yeah,
um, detours like this, kind of getting us off mission and stuff like that. Um, I think that Alfred would probably have a little bit of a like, he's more vengeance seeking than you are in terms of the recovery. So there is a little push pull there, I think, that
sure.
we could play out a little to see how that goes. But um so the next thing is that now we have these undead, and I think we never really came to a strong why, and it sounds like that's maybe not the purpose of us being here, is to necessarily, if there's not like, a person in the middle of the village being like, ha, 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 I'm making undead from my cauldron. Like, we're
Right.
not
Yeah.
we're not turning over every stone to do that, because our mission is, I mean, the bone walkers are the setting, not the mission, right? They're like the
Yeah.
backdrop, the scenery at this
Yeah.
point.
No, they're in my mind, they're like a potential side quest.
Mhm.
like, yeah, there are ties to our village, and people who we thought long dead,
Hmm.
but it's not what we're doing to fulfill our vow. And I think sticking close to our vow, like, this is about as far as I'm willing to detour at the moment, with the
Okay.
village still in peril.
So, out of curiosity, I mean, now this is something that since vows play an important part of the game, would you want your character to like swear another vow to recover the weapon? Like, is that, do you think that's in line with you to be like, I didn't know this was possible, but now that I see there's this opportunity, he takes out an iron, whatever, or like the the head of the spear, you know what I'm saying? Like, and does he have a minor vow that he swears to get this back? Is that within character? Because
Well, I think it is, but I don't know if it's something that we'll ever see fulfilled. If, like I said, if this feels like, in Canute mind,
Mhm.
once you see that there's 17 bone walkers, and that 3 pretty much handed us our asses on a plate, even if it was a little lucky,
Mhm.
17 is still a lot. And I, like, he might make a personal vow to one day
Mhm.
return to try to get back the sword and investigate the village and do all that, but I don't know that for the purposes of the game that we're playing, that's gonna, like, he might do it like alone in the dead of night. It's like, someday I will get a chance to recover it, but you know
Okay.
he may get back here, and but there's no sign of the bone walkers, and there's nothing you can do. 4 years
Sure.
later.
It's just the only reason I ask is because from a character perspective, this might be that time to be like, he sees the opportunity, he swears the vow to like give him that oomph to like
I
not chicken out when it going gets tough. But
I, th-
but
I
it's
think I think Canute
I'm
would be
just
more likely to vow to not let something like this happen again.
sure. Okay, and that
To, to,
I think
to try to not do that. I don't know.
sure. Okay. Well, I just wanted to throw it out there since typically when you actually do a campaign play, which we've kind of slowly started to get
Yeah,
into,
we're moving in
you
that
you
direction.
you start taking more and more vows as you do your Ironsworn because that's how you gain experience and stuff like that.
Right.
And like I swear to do this, and then you gain that allows you to progress, right? So technically we should be doing a lot of vows, I think, in order to fight our epic destiny.
Yeah,
Like we can't be the same characters when we get back as when we
right.
left, because
No,
if we
the
didn't.
the sword means a lot, but he's not being the only the harpoon is the only thing that's going to save the village, as far as we know.
Mhm.
That's that's the overriding thing. The sword, in the face of that, is less important. It's important to me, but it's more of a vanity thing. Like I said, like, the
Okay.
first time you went out and encountered an enemy and had,
Got your
had
asses
steel in
kicked.
your hand, you got your asses kicked, they took your sword, you know.
Yeah. And they gave you a wedgie on the way out, like
Yeah, exactly.
these
They called you
bullies.
names, gave you a wedgie.
Head in the toilet. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. And
That's
then
what it feels like.
well, and I think the last thing to do before we start diving into the village is just I wanted to throw that out there, that for your connection to the pillar, you know, I think that's going to be an opportunity to present itself at some point. Is it a curse, a clue, a power? Like, where does it fit on the spectrum? So I think if there's a complication or something really good that happens, there could be a tie into that, just so it's not like a weird thing that just
Sure.
gets forgotten. So um, I'm done mentioning things. That was I think a lot of recap and all that stuff. So now we're basically sitting on like a small hill, looking over this old village that's the wood is rotten and burned, but there's the undead pantomiming and stuff like that. And from what we can probably guess is the people we ran into were hunters, if anything, ranging for no reason other than just to you know from muscle memory from their previous life. Um, and we see them in various places. So I think the first thing that you would probably do is that I mean, I would suggest gather information. What were you thinking at this point?
No, we need to gather information. We need to observe and see if their movements make any sense, or if, you know, what they're doing, and if anybody leaves, even if it's just for a little bit.
Okay.
Because
Well, gather.
even if we could confront two or three of them, away from the camp to try to get the sword, even if anybody heard that, it would take them time to respond.
Sure. Well, and I think more the gather information for me would just be like, where is the sword? you know, like did they give it to the blacksmith who's going to pound it until it's broken? Is it
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
possibly. I
is it
don't know what. I know that they attacked us with weapons, so.
Mhm.
And I don't, honestly, I don't know. Do the bone walkers put tools down, or do they just, since they don't need to eat and shit, do they just walk around carrying whatever weapons they carry, and when they find something to attack, that way they have a weapon right there in their hand already? They
I,
don't talk, they don't chit chat, they don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't
yeah,
go to
they're
the
just
bathroom.
they're just reliving their former lives, and that's why I said that's why it makes it a little different than your typical like
Yeah.
lumbering undead. So you don't know. I mean, they could have brought that sword and just put it in one of their houses. Like that's a possibility too. Oh,
Well, then the
or they
hawk
could have.
can't find it if it's in a house.
Well, there's no roofs, buddy. There's I mean the
Oh, that's
houses.
right. The houses, yeah, it's
The
a.
houses, if anything, are only represented by the stones that laid their
Houses.
foundations. And
Well, there's probably a couple of partial walls.
yeah, like maybe a little bit to hide behind if a bow was being
Okay.
shot at you.
Yeah, we should try to we should try to locate the sword.
Okay. So I feel like a gather information and roll wits is a good idea. Um, do you agree with that being the move you want to make here?
Yeah. I don't really want to roll wits because it's the thing that I'm, well, that and shadow. It's the shit that I'm the worst at. But yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I get a +1. Super. Let's go. Roll the dice.
Let's see what he gets.
I got a 6 against a 5 and a 10, so that is a weak success.
A weak success. So a weak success. You've learned something that makes your quest more complicated or dangerous. You know more about the situation, but it's unwelcome news. To move forward, you need to overcome new obstacles and see where the clues lead. Huh. What does that mean to you? Well, in this case, so you get some information. So I assume you find where the sword is, right? Um,
Yes.
but it's not something that's easy to get to, or there's something weird about it. But you also get +1 momentum. Mm.
Ooh. There we go. I get a momentum.
So what do you think that is to you? And of course, if you don't really envision what you discover, you can always ask an oracle if you're unsure. Oracle's
No,
good.
I think it's close to the center of town, and there's always skeletons by it. Like, I don't think anybody's carrying it around, but it's like center of the village. There's
Ooh.
hmm, what? You
So
got an idea, I can tell.
so what if in a weird ritualistic fashion they take the weapons of those people they slay and they just pile them up in the middle of town like a strange effigy or
Yeah, they
something like
could.
that.
Sure.
Like it's
Yeah.
like there's nowhere else for it to go, but maybe a pile's the wrong word. Maybe like there's just swords and axes stuck into the ground, like in this central monument, um,
Yeah.
almost like almost like headstones. Hmm.
Okay. No, I like that.
What what if there were 15 weapons there? Varying levels of decay. Some of them may be their own weapons. Some of them may be weapons that they've acquired from other unfortunate travelers. Hmm. Maybe there's a connection with the number of weapons there to the.
Well, it could be. I don't think we're gonna find out what it is
Oh man.
necessarily. at this moment.
Okay. So yeah. So that would be my suggestion. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm suggesting a lot. So go ahead. You take the ball and you go with where you're going.
No, it's in the center of town. The like you said, the weapons are all sort of stuck in the ground. The axes like kind of sit at an angle, right? Because
Mhm.
the swords are more straight up and more or less straight up and down. The spears the same way. The bows just lay there sadly.
just just stab it into the ground pitifully, and then it just falls over when the wind comes by.
There's like 3 broken bows because they keep trying to stab it in. I think they
Okay.
probably try, and then you know what I mean. Like it's more
Mhm.
ceremonial. Um, and I think it's pretty easy to tell which ones have weathered and rusted, and you
Mhm.
know which ones are fresher and newer. So I think it's easy to tell which one is mine.
Okay. What do you think? Do you think there are other newish weapons there, or do you think that yours definitely is by far the newest one?
I think there's other newish weapons there. I think they
Okay.
are attacking whoever they encounter, which isn't a lot, but it this isn't the hinterlands totally.
It's kind of the hinterlands, but
It's
I
kind
think
of
that people travel through these areas, maybe
yeah.
not
I
to
think
the
it's more travelers. I think
yeah vagrants, vagabonds, that kind of stuff. People like me.
People like us in the wrong place at the right time.
Exactly. Like, well, we obviously found him right away. So,
Yeah, you weren't lost. We found you.
okay. So how would we make this work? So what's the
Well,
doeth
if they
thing?
slept, we would sneak into camp in the middle of the night, grab it, and run.
Hmm.
Maybe grab more than one weapon and run. But where my belief is that they don't really rest. I I think we need to figure out if we think that we could get in there without being seen to some extent.
Yeah. So I think from a rules perspective, we would do one of two things.
The face danger
Um,
thing.
there's face danger, and then there's secure and advantage. And I feel like secure and advantage is probably a little more what we're doing here.
Make
You envision
preparations. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, you're evaluating the situation or strengthening position. This
Okay.
move gives you an opportunity to build your momentum or improve your chance of success on a subsequent move. It's a good move to take if you want to take a moment to size of the situation or if you're acting to gain control. Often encompass a moment of time, such as shoveling your foe with your shield to set up attack, or could represent preparation or evaluation spanning minutes, even days, depending on the narrative circumstances. On the strong hit, means you have identified an opportunity or gained the upper hand. You've knocked an enemy down. You moved into position for an arrow shot. You built your trap. You scouted the best pass to the mountains. Now it's time to build on your success. How do you build on your success?
I'm reading the same thing you are, and I'm not 100% understanding. It feels like we need to roll the dice a lot more.
I feel like we do.
Yeah, because this feels like making preparations.
It does. I think what ultimately would lead to
That's
is face danger. Um,
okay.
Meaning that like because in this case and correct me if I'm wrong, is it sounds like you weren't trying to necessarily just go in spear flying and trying to whack undead out of the way. You were going to try your best to sneak in, um, get what you were looking for, and try to get out before the undead had a
Right.
chance to take action.
Yes.
So it
Yeah, no, it
sounds like
feels like secure an advantage and then face danger.
mhm.
If I use speed or agility, it's edge. If it's aggressive action, it's iron. If it's deception or stealth, it's shadow. Oh, good. I'm not good at shadow either.
I'm I'm good at shadow, I think.
Yeah, I get a
quest
+2 in
moves.
edge. It doesn't feel like an iron because that feels like, like going in and knocking people over. You know what I mean? Using the element of surprise. It either feels like an edge where it's a speed run, to the center of town and out the other side at full speed, or it feels more like Shadow. Honestly, it's probably Shadow, and then it turns into Edge if you're seeing.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels to me.
Okay. Yeah. I think. Okay. I think that's how I would probably read this, is that if you wanted to just go for it, you could do face danger. If you wanted to improve your outcomes, you could secure an advantage and then face danger, because we're not doing this as an iron vow or anything like that.
Right.
Um,
No, I think should make preparations to be stealthy.
okay. And did you want me to try to go through, or did you want you to go through? What is your
I
shadow,
don't
anyways?
one.
Because my shadow is 2 and my edge is 3. Those are like the two stats that I have.
Yeah, no, my shadow is 1 and my edge is 2. But I don't think I can ask you to risk your life to go get my sword. Does that make
Well,
sense?
what are friends for? I know you're slow and plotting, obviously. Continuing our sniping from before, I'm still going to make fun of your, how you sound
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean, if it
ox
was
in
as
the
simple as
bushes.
just bashing them with a hammer, I'd be great. My iron's
Exactly.
great. My heart is good. My edge isn't bad. That's 2 and 2 on heart and edge. It's shadow and wits that we keep doing.
Opposite.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's the opposite. I know. If you think that you have a better chance, I say go ahead, and I'll, forever be in your debt. But if
I,
something happens, I've got to charge in, with your spear. There's no point in you taking
exactly.
a weapon in there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I have,
When
I
you
have,
can
I have,
grab one or two
I have
once
my
you get there.
sling, and apparently I could grab a replacement. I could just.
Yeah, no. Apparently, if there's a pile of weapons, like we said, that some
Yeah.
some some laying there because they couldn't shove them into the ground, other ones in the ground.
Yep.
It's not like they
So,
probably pick them up after, like, if the wind knocks one down because it wasn't in there quite good enough.
all right. So let's go to secure an advantage, and so
Okay.
we'll roll with speed, agility, precision. I mean, so I envision with speed, agility, or precision is basically just like on your marks, get
Get
set,
set. Yeah. Serpentine. Serpentine.
just zig and zag.
Don't let him
Um,
pin you down.
and on a stealth, basically would be like, okay, I identified that these areas, you know,
Nobody
and
seems to be right.
okay.
I, I still think stealth is probably the better way to go. I don't know how many times you'd have to do it.
Well, you just have to do it once.
Okay. Then
And
stealth it
basic.
up.
Okay, so let's secure an advantage.
All right. See if because that'll get you a +1 on the face danger, right?
D6. Yep. 1d6 plus 2 plus 2d10. 8.
So close.
Well, it's okay.
Okay. It's
So there's
Go ahead.
yeah. So prepare to act. Take momentum. I think I'll take momentum. So I think I've got this.
On a weak hit, your advantage is short-lived. Take a momentum. Okay.
So basically, what it seems like I've noticed is that as they pantomime this, this facsimile of life. It seems as though there is a through fare that I can use to kind of like get through. Like I feel like I'm like playing Metal Gear Solid, like all the cards, all that. But I see it, but it's right now in the middle of day. So like I'm like, oh shit,
Okay.
there's an opportunity. And you just see me like take off. Now I've been saving this
Okay.
for just this moment. Okay. And I'm going to try to sneak through the village, grab this sword, grab your sword, and maybe another weapon or two, because apparently we need them as I'm going through. I don't want to be too greedy, but can't hurt, right?
Yeah, you don't want it to slow you down too much, but if you can make it to the weapons, you probably got a chance.
Okay. All right. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, he'll be in my debt. We'll get past this, get to this fucking Abyssal Harpoon, go to the Varou. Don't care about the undead. I am really curious, though. Let's go.
Okay.
I've got a backup plan if this fails. Oh.
No, it didn't fail. You got it. That's a 6, right? Am I? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I got a 6, and my challenge dice were a 5 and a 3. So I actually succeeded. Ooh, success
and you get
is on my side.
and you get success and a momentum.
The reason why I'm not worried about it is because I haven't been spending my momentum, so I have max momentum right now. So there was no way, unless I rolled a 10 on both dice, that I was going to fucking fail this roll. That was my backup plan. I think we use your momentum because you had to spend it.
No, I've used momentum.
Something.
I've used momentum a couple times.
Yeah. So
healing and stuff.
Okay. So basically, you see me like, sneaking along the walls, not afraid to kind of get into the muck and mud as I go around, kind of playing out the route in my head. But it's a thing of, it's a thing of quick, precise action. And you do lose me at parts because there are just these angles where you can't see me for just a moment.
Right.
And then I pop up closer and closer and closer. And then when the time is right, I go in, grab your sword. I check it to make sure it's your fucking sword. And then I grab another sword just in case. And I'm like, he's going to probably need a backup. And then I kind of make my way out as far. Now, do you think that in this case, the face danger, do you think it takes 2 face dangers or how many do you think it would take? Do you think there would be 1 face danger to get to the weapon, 1 to get the sword, 1 to get out? Or is it just, I feel like that's a lot of rolling personally.
It's a lot of rolling. I get that.
Where do you feel on that spectrum there?
Catch all for risky, dramatic, or complex actions not covered by another move.
I don't want to roll just for the sake of rolling.
It almost feels like 1 in, 1 out.
I would prefer it. I just wanted to get your opinion though.
Yeah, it almost feels like 1 in, 1 out.
Okay.
Because you can't possibly be a stealthy carrying metal weapons.
Okay.
I mean, kind of. I guess you could.
Yeah.
You could sling a bow over your back and have 1 sword in each hand, and
well, I will. We'll do so. 1 roll now to get out.
I think so. God, I don't want to say that, but yeah.
All right. Well, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure. This is a co-op game to make sure that you feel comfortable with. And I don't think I'd get my advantage on the way out.
I don't think you'd get the advantage. Well, you plan the route.
You know what? Like I said, I have momentum if I need it. So let's see if I need to burn momentum.
Okay.
Success. Eep. I need to burn momentum. That's funny.
Yeah, you got a 3 against a 6 and a 3. So, actually, that is a full miss.
That is a fucking miss. So as soon as I get out, okay, I'm going to burn my momentum, but I'm going to add a story point to it.
Okay.
Okay. Take momentum. So when you burn momentum, my understanding is that you take your momentum from its current value, and you don't get to spend a portion of it. You just burn it all down to its reset level. And its reset level is determined by if you have any debilitations or anything like that. My reset level is 2.
Right.
So I went from 10 down to 2. So I spent a lot of momentum on getting out of this. Um, but as I'm leaving the village, as I'm like getting out, there's a moment when it feels like me in one of the dead like lock eyes for just a moment. And you can't be sure because obviously it doesn't really have eyes, but the skull and how it's facing and everything like that looks like it just looks right at me. And it's like as it's working, it kind of has this like almost pleading body language that it's using. I can't tell if it's to me. I can't tell if anything because obviously I'm succeeding, so I'm making my way out. But for a moment, it seems like that bone walker is trying to tell me something. And then I said, fuck off and left. Kind of shook me a little bit, let's say. Kind of shook me as as their body language seemed to be reaching out to me, even though I couldn't
Right.
tell if they knew if I was there or not. Couldn't tell if that was the pantomime or if that was a real call for help. Hmm.
Wow.
And I obviously share that to you when we get back and have your sword and stuff. But I look at you and I'm like, is this the right one? I get the right one.
Yes, it's what a sight to behold. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am in your debt.
Don't worry, I'll remember.
Well, sure, why not?
Yeah.
You know.
So we followed the bone walkers. We completed a troublesome. One second here. I want to see something before we go too much farther
Okay.
from this. Because we technically did something here, and I want to make sure that if there's a way for me to remember how these experience things work, then because I don't want to. Because I think if I remember, I might be. It's been so long since I've read everything that I want to make sure that I'm not missing like how to gain experience and stuff. Because technically, I think if we don't do a vow, then I don't think we actually get experience for it. One second.
Oh no, you're fine. Yep, you got to fulfill a vow to gain experience.
Yeah.
So I guess we would have made a vow to recover the sword.
Yep, because I think how the game spiritually would have wanted us to do that would be to once we saw the village and we saw that it was a possibility, maybe make the vow, then roll our heart, then progress through it, and then fulfill the vow or forsake the vow. Like if we couldn't get the sword,
Right, then
um,
we might have had to forsake it.
yeah, and
Okay.
so I think from if anybody's watching this, that's probably the mentality that the characters would have to have is that literally anytime you like I vow to
Anytime
get
you're going
this
to actually
sword.
do something.
Yeah, I vow to get this sword back. Otherwise you're going to be stuck with 0 experience, I think, which which I think is a little tricky. Um so since this is a progress move, so because basically when you fulfill your vow, the quest is complete, mark experience. And so I mean this might have just been might have just considered this a troublesome vow or a dangerous vow, but that would have been 2 experience, right?
I think
Um,
so. What I don't know is since you're the one who did it, you're the one who should get the experience, right?
I'm not worried about it right now. I just think that in terms of like mindset for how the game is, the
Sure.
flow of the
Yeah.
game, that'd be something we'd want to do because we
Yeah,
both,
we need to swear more vows.
yeah. And I think the a comment there would be is if you swear too many vows, all of a sudden you find yourself on too many side quests and you don't fulfill your inciting incident and all of those kind of things too. That can be a little
That's
tricky.
true.
Okay. Well then, and I think to me that sounds weird to get experience for something that easy as a side quest, but it makes sense. I think that that's the style of this game, though, right?
No,
So
I think it is.
don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Something
Okay,
like that.
so I think at this point, for me, I'd recommend that we move away quietly from the Bonewalker village and try to reestablish our pathway to
Yes.
the to the
Yes.
Varou lands.
We've already sworn a vow to find the Varou, so
Okay, so what is our
well, now that our little sidetrack is done,
so maybe that's what we do is we vow to get back on track here. Fuck.
yeah,
I will find the Varou if it's the last thing I do. Because our current vow was basically kill the Leviathan. So then we need to vow to reach the Varou.
yeah, we've got to undertake the journey, right?
I think we've got a lot of vows we should have been making up until this point.
No, it feels like we should have been making more.
Hmm.
No, it's like
Interesting.
some of this stuff becomes clear the third and fourth time you read.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's people out there that just speed read a 135-page book and perfectly retain everything and understand every nuance of the rules, but it's not me.
No. Yeah. And I think because it's such a narrative game, like everything is undertaken with such somberness that it's like, I will find the Varou and get this spear and kill the Leviathan. Vow, 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 vow.
Right. So no, I think we need to undertake a journey. We need to get some distance between us and the bone
Okay.
walkers anyhow.
All right. So I'm gonna add that to our list of things that we've done.
Okay.
Woohoo! We've found the bone walkers, gotten your sword back, and left the mystery of them behind.
And
And
this Yeah, go
now
ahead.
we swear a new vow. We will fucking find these assholes.
And I'm going to be
Good enough.
honest, we're in their lands somewhere. We don't know where their town. This feels troublesome to me.
Okay. So at this point, kind of basically your thought process is that we start our progress bar over again.
Yeah, for the journey to get there. We still have to try to get the harpoon from the Varou, but
Okay.
we have to find them first.
But we're considering this a troublesome
Yes.
thing now that we're going to take on.
That's how I'm
So,
thinking about it.
okay. So, all right. So so at this point we have to probably gather information, or what do you think? 'Cause we have no idea where we're going.
Well, I can use my hawk on a when you undertake a journey or when you resupply. So for farseeing, for undertake a journey, like looking for roads or paths that appear to be more worn than because eventually those should lead to some sort of a settlement of some kind. Is the
Okay.
thought process.
Well, I think what I can do here is that I can use the gather information to find if we can see Varud tracks, maybe a hunting party or something like that. Um, and then basically I can regain some momentum here.
Okay.
Um, and then you can make a journey with your hawk to do some of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. That's fine.
Okay. So getting some separation from each other because obviously we're we're getting on each other's nerves or something. I'm going to roll some fucking dice. Plus 2 plus 1. Nice. So my challenge dice, or what the fuck? My action dice was a 6 plus a 2 plus a 1. So I got a 9 total for my action dice. And my challenge dice were a 7 and a 2. So I absolutely blew that out of the water. So basically, what I envision happened is that as soon as we made some distance from the Bone Walker village, and we basically set our minds to it, we started looking for land, like markers and the landscape that would be more hospitable to a village, instead of just wandering around the hinterlands. We started using our brains and, and seeing those things. And I feel like a role like that is probably enough of a role to find tracks, even if they're old tracks, like maybe like a you know a pathway that they use through the hinterlands to go hunting or something like that. A worn pathway that we could follow at least for a distance. I feel like that's a fair thing because it is helpful and specific, and it will take us in a direction away from the coast and deeper into the hinterlands.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Sounds fair.
Okay. So now we're undertaking a journey, and we have established that the journey is going to be troublesome. We've made our vow that is a troublesome vow that I think we need to roll heart to get that. So in order to make a vow, we have to roll the heart thing. So.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
Yes. So you swear upon your iron to complete a quest, and our quest is to get to the Varou.
All right, you want me to roll that? My heart's a 2.
My heart is a 1. So I tend to follow you in all things, but because
All right.
because you have higher social standing than I do, and all
Maybe.
kinds of things.
I have worse dice rolling. So my action dice was a 3. Well, a 3 total. And the challenge dice were a 1 and a 9, so it is a weak hit.
Okay.
How does that work on the vows?
It's okay. It's fine. So on a weak hit, you are determined to begin your quest with more questions than answers. Take +1 momentum and envision what you do to find your path forward. So I think so rewind. We started with the vow. I went out tracking, and I think we just order of operations here. I went out tracking.
Okay.
I
we should have
found
done this first, and then
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then I found a hunting trail, or at least a trail that seems like it uses Varou. Do they have feet, or do they have paws, or what do you think?
Sure.
Do they have? Are they like centaurs, but they're werewolves? Like, I mean, that'd be pretty fucking ferocious.
It would be.
Man, I don't know if I'd want to fight them.
Basically, we're not trying to fight them. We're trying to talk to them, which is not their strong suit.
It's not our strong suit either. But
no.
Okay, so yes. So then so I'm going to say that they have paw prints. I like the idea of the more standard werewolf.
Okay.
Vision. And the paw prints don't necessarily seem fresh because obviously they're not right next to us. So
sure.
We'll have to go with that. Okay. And so now it is time for our adventure move. Undertake a journey.
I got a +1 on that, but it gives me the same roll as you. So if you want to do it.
No, you go ahead. You're using your hawk, so.
Yeah.
Your hawk is
all
up
right.
there going Squawk,
Let's
squawk.
give it a try. My action dice was a 7 total against a 9 and a 2. Man, I roll a lot of 9s.
You do.
So that is a weak hit again
A weak hit.
on Undertake a Journey.
Okay. So a weak hit means that we lose a supply. So we're down to 2. But we still get our we still get our 3 boxes of progress. Okay. So how does that represent to you for a weak hit in this case?
That we started following your tracks, but they were harder to follow than we thought,
Mm-hmm.
and had to double back and spread out and slow down, and all
Okay.
those things that can happen when you're trying to track something.
All
We
right.
think that we're still on the same place, but we could have skipped over from one trail to another. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
So we're in the part of
There's
the
a
hinterlands
trail,
that's got more trees in it than we expected, more underbrush and all that kind of
or
stuff.
or more stone where they wouldn't leave a footprint or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah. Totally.
Where you've got to spread out and then look, see if any the ground's been disturbed at all recently, kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if you're getting down and laying down your ear to the ground to see if you can hear any sort of reverberations from,
I just put a rock up to my ear. Nope, nothing yet.
or if you're like a golfer and every 6 feet you grab some grass, throw it up in the air, see which way the wind's blowing.
I could. I could. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it just feels like the process. Everything that we did took
mhm.
longer than we thought.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It used up
And
more
we
of
had
the
twisted and
food
turned
and
around, and yeah, and so we had to use more food, more water.
okay. So now we make a decision. Do we need to make a camp? Do we press on to the next waypoint? Because at this point we could resupply. Um,
I think we can push the resupply a little bit.
okay.
Do you want to make a camp?
I don't need any. I don't need any healing or anything like that.
I
So
don't
we could.
either.
So I could envision this like literally sleeping under a tree or something like that, just pulling cloaks
Does
tight.
that
And
still count as making a camp, though?
I wouldn't.
If we
I
build a
wouldn't
small
think
fire,
so.
just crash, or
I mean, so it says when you're making a camp, make a camp.
you're trying
You
to
rest
do
and
things to
recover for
recover?
several hours in the wild. And I don't. I mean, it's a narrative activity that can be extracted or role played as you like. So, I mean, I I don't really feel like since we're trying to regain any benefit from it, I think that we can use the kind of like basically we're just laying our head down for as much rest as we can take and then we move on the next day kind of thing.
And then
So
we
not
do the
necessarily
journey again.
recuperative.
Okay.
No, it's not necessarily recuperative, but it also means we're not taking like 70 miles in a day kind of thing.
Okay. Right.
Okay. But if you want to make camp every time, but I feel like since we're not gaining anything, I don't think we should lose anything, if that makes sense. You take no comfort, pay the price.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe we'll do it every couple of days. Like if we have to, like,
Mhm.
we get
Basically, I
another
think
weak hit and burn a supply, we may have to
make
make a
camp
camp.
and resupply and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Sure. So we're gonna undertake a journey again,
Mhm.
which is wits. Or if I roll with, well, I rolled the last one. Do you want to roll this one, or it's the same either way? We got a +2 either way, so I don't care.
You go ahead.
Okay. We'll use my hawk to undertake a journey,
Some people might suggest that
and
we.
that is a strong hit. It is an 8 on the action dice in total against a 6 and a 3.
Nice. So, with make a journey, in this case, or undertake a journey, you will get you reach the waypoint. Um, oh, we should have described the waypoint a little bit more, but that's okay. So you reach a waypoint. So we'll get to describe what that waypoint is because we don't really know it. We're going to ask an oracle to be sure, and then choose one. You can make good use of your progress, mark good use of resources, mark progress, or remove its speed, mark progress, and take +1 momentum, but also suffer -1 supply.
I think just good use of our resources.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's talk about this waypoint. What kind of waypoint is it? Do you want to roll the oracle for the waypoint, or do you want to?
Why don't you go ahead and roll the oracle? What I mean, the only thing that's come to mind is that we get far enough where now several tracks are crossing. Meaning that this is sort of a
Crossroads.
crossroads kind of thing situation.
Okay. Well, let's see. We either get a 17, a caravan. That could be interesting. Or sorry, a 21, a cave, or a 12, a layer. Well, that's not.
A lair? A lair, like a
Yeah, like a bear's lair or dragon's lair. I mean, a
or
layer of some kind.
a wolf lair.
Yeah, a wolf lair, or a cave.
Odd.
Okay. Well, I think a cave, like a limestone cave that's deeper than you would expect would be a nice find, a nice place to shelter and rest and make
Okay.
camp and also probably resupply a little bit as we seem to be making good time into the hinterlands. What have you ever been in a cave, and do you have any features of a cave that you really were just interested by or anything like that? Like, do you like the stalactites? Do you like the stalagmites? Do you like the cave bacon, the popcorn? I mean, all that stuff. What about caves are cool to you?
Most of the caves that I've seen are like in TV or movies.
Hmm.
They're always because I've encountered a few caves like in
Yep.
real life,
Okay.
and they're much smaller than you think they are. Like
Hmm.
like unless you're talking about like Carlsbad Caverns or something, they're for the most part, most of them are much smaller, and the ceilings are lower, and
Hmm.
they're cold and they're dark, and some of them are damp depending on where you are.
Sure.
Um, you can find places to sit or sleep or lay a little bit, but they're not these
Hmm.
great big wide open things that you see in stories. Not that we can't have found a nice big, open one.
Hmm.
I would say that it's probably cozy. You know what I mean? There's some sort of a draft, meaning the air moves. So if you build a fire, you're not just gonna smoke yourselves out. You know,
Okay.
which is probably a good sign.
Mhm.
There's probably some rocks and walls. I don't know about stalactites or stalagmites. If you want them, we can have them. But
They
gonna
almost always exist in most caves, right? Just water dripping and stuff. Um, I think for me, what is the most scary and interesting part about caves is kind of what you described is that caves don't have very big like they get really narrow in spots, they're small, hard to get through and all that kind of stuff. So a
yeah, they're
person like
not
myself
even.
who is a bigger guy can't really I fear going into a cave and getting stuck. Like, trying to go through some place that's like, oh, just come on through. And I'm fucking like, get
Inhale
the
and squeeze
Crisco
through.
and they fucking pop me out the back the way I came. Um, because I've seen stuff where like people have gone through cave, it's been spelunking and tried to go through head first and they fucking did get stuck, because they just got wedged in or whatever it is. And I get anxiety just thinking about it, like um and there was actually a Magnus Archives episode where there was a little bit of they were in the cave and they were going through, and one of the things they had to do is they had to go through these like underwater tunnels that like you went through the tunnel, then you popped up on the other side and there
Oh
was more
shit.
cave to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not personally I'm sure that's a feature of caves that I'm I just can't. But like, they in the story they were going through, and sorry spoilers, but they were going through the thing, and then they were coming out, and they were trying to surface, and they like try to go up and boom, bump. They were underwater and they're trying to go up, and they fucking go up, and then it's like their sister like tapping them on the head to make them think that they're hitting the goddamn ceiling.
Wow.
And I'm like, I would fucking murder somebody because first of all,
it's panic inducing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just me envisioning or seeing and like imagining somebody getting stuck in a cave gives me anxiety just thinking about it. So that was a really tough story for me to listen to because of all the claustrophobia that it induced. So yes, caves, pools. There's a pool in the back of the cave. Who knows how deep it is?
Well, I'm not going to cave dive. You can while I go and try and resupply.
There's definitely some moss in the background. There's some there's a drip, drip, drip from the top that kind of has that almost relaxing sound of water. As it drips into the thing. That's much louder than you'd expect because the natural cave dampens so much sound. Yeah,
nice.
Kind of the ambiance I like in a cave, I guess.
Well, while you set up camp, I'm going to go out and resupply then.
Okay.
Or attempt to resupply. How about that?
Sure.
5 against a 3 and a 6. So, oh my god, that's a weak hit. So I can take up to 2 supply, but suffer -1 momentum for each.
Yeah, that's up to you if you want to.
So I'm going to take 2 supply. So we're going to go to 4, and I'm going to take my momentum from 5 to 3. Ouch. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need the supply more than we need the momentum. Or at 5, my momentum's not enough to swing much. So
yeah, it's a tricky one. Okay, well then I'm going to make camp, and let's see if we can't. Let's see if we can't get something out of the deal here, because when we make camp, you could get some of that momentum back. Hypothetically.
Yes, potentially, sure.
1d6 plus 4 plus d10. Holy fuck.
Well, you got a 9.
I did. But it's just funny because there was that 10 just laughing at us. So basically we have a weak hit, so we can choose one from the make a camp option. So I think for this one, I'm actually going to take a focus. So I'm going to gain 1 momentum in anticipation of needing that momentum at some point in my life.
I think I'm going to prepare.
Okay. So you get the
plus add an additional 1 to undertake a journey.
Okay.
So I can get a +3 then.
Sounds good.
1 for my wits, 1 for my hawk, and 1 for my preparedness.
All right.
We are stacking. We are building a dice pool.
But I think that's kind of. I mean, it narratively makes sense. Like I'm over here just being like, okay, I'm psyched and ready to go, and you're over there like, I want to go this way. The hawk is telling me that the winds are favorable this direction.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the hawk's telling me I found the camp and you just need to go this way, and I'm like, okay. So you're saying that the wind is blowing bad from there?
Squeak, 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 caw, caw. Whatever hawks say. I don't know what hawks fucking sound like. I guess they either sound like mice or ravens.
Exactly. All right. So do we sleep peacefully through the night?
I think so.
It's nice to have the fire.
Yeah, I think with a small fire, it was rather comforting. I mean, it's kind of up to you. Do you think you sleep peacefully through the night? I mean,
if we'd had something bad happen, I think we would have woken with Varou knives at our throats.
Or we could have triggered flashbacks or memories from the pillar. It's always an interesting story point there. So, but since we didn't have to pay the price in any way in this case.
Okay. Yeah, I think it went relatively well.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's undertake a journey.
Okay.
Ouch. I got a 6 against a 9 and a 7. So that is bad.
Man,
We
we are
are
just
waylaid by a perilous event. We need to pay the price.
okay. Um, well, so paying the price for those of that have been following along because we've been doing a lot of that lately. Um,
Yes.
so pay the price. So make the most obvious negative outcome happen. The most negative outcome at this point, since we've been just trouncing through the Varou hunting lands and all that kind of stuff, is that we actually encounter the Varou in some capacity. Like that seems like the most outcome that is the most
Like,
negative outcome here, and they're not
like,
happy to see us. Like,
no, no, no. We turn a corner and they are waiting, mad, angrily.
yeah, basically, like you have to assume that they have their bows and spears already trained on us, being like, "You move so loudly through these lands that even our young cubs could track you or some shit." Saying
Yeah,
some like wizened tracker type thing, like an insult, but also like you know mostly just an insult, I guess. I was like, it could be a veiled insult. No, they would just insult us to our
yeah. No,
face.
I don't think there's any reason to veil it. But yeah, do we need to roll dice though for right? For-
Well, I think so. So this is the pay the price. I think that based on where we are right now, this might be a good place to pause for tonight.
Okay.
That we found the Varou. Oops. So
Yeah.
how's it really? They kind of throw a incendiary remark in our direction, and then now we have the face off because it doesn't seem like they went to kill us right away, which is promising, but who knows? That gives us a week to think about how they react to our intrusion and what we're going to do.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Does
good
that
with
sound
that.
fair?
Yes.
Okay. So there it is. Another one in the can. Ironsworn, a fun game. I think I'm starting to get the hang of what it's looking for as part of the play style and stuff like that. I'll be curious to see, if other co-op or if this plays similar to like other co-op games because Astro Prisma I think has a co-op mode as well, and that's something I should be getting in the
Oh,
next
nice.
few weeks. And I really like the premise of it. Anybody that hasn't seen or heard of Astro Prisma is it's something I kickstarted last year. It has a cool vibe, space, sci-fi kind of stuff. I think that'll be fun to play on stream too, especially if we can co-op that one as well. But yeah, so that's another episode in. Thank you so much for watching, and if you got to this point, we appreciate it. Stay tuned. We'll be doing this for a little bit as we kind of wait for Brent to recover, and he'll be joining us hopefully in the near future. But Jeff, do you want to send us off into the wild blue?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hit us up on social media. Look for us at Rollwise. And roll well, roll wise, be safe out there. Thanks.
See everybody.